Let's get to 2019, and I want to get to medical assistance in dying.
Okay, so we said obviously no, because that was obnoxious. And they said, okay, we're going to let her have access anyway. So I go and I was the very first person in Canadian medical history to sit with a regulated psilocybin outside of a clinical trial. I got special permission. I'm the only Canadian who's ever been given that right. And I flew in a friend of mine who works with the Kootenawa, and we have it all filmed, and I did a ceremony, and they let it do it my way. And it was beautiful. And so the plants that I coach on that I work with are 5-MeO, DMT, ayahuasca, and psilocybin. Okay. I begin as fantastic for brain injury and for addiction purposes.
I've seen that. I've heard it takes 1 to 5 years off the brain. I covered this with Brian Hubbard, and I'm going to botch it now, but there's a robust amount of data to talk about how it helps with cognition and brain health and traumatic brain injury, drug addiction, trauma.
I've seen magic worked with drug addiction as long as they're proper integration on both end and front end.
Got it.
I've had clients who were 13 years on some of the hardest opioids and never touched it again. So I believe as long as you are ready and you are willing and you have the right supports and network, front end, back end, integration, plus the medicine, I think you're going to be quite all right. But again, I'm always careful to say it's not for everyone. Not everyone's a candidate. And we have to stop pretending like all the backyard shamans are safe and like all the websites are safe, because they're not.
Well, they force you into it, though. And they force you into it with things like peptides and stem cells.
Yes.
You know, you're buying peptides off of a taco truck somewhere.
Yeah, that's too much.
It's insane because the FDA has yet to make them legal. Like there's
I love peptides. I use them for injuries.
I bet you do. There are fantastic peptides for brain injuries.
Yes.
Have you heard about cerebrolysine?
Mm-hmm.
They use it in Russia for decades now for people with brain injuries and strokes.
Dr. Mark Gordon is who you need to talk to about that.
No kidding.
Dr. Mark Gordon has worked for decades. He's been on Joe a million times, and I'll connect you with him. He's brilliant. He's National Peptide Institute. Brilliant guy. We talked about it with I've had a lot of shoulder, knee injuries, and he's also the doctor who helped treat me with my brain injury as well. He's an American guy. Brilliant around peptides. Understands it like nobody's business. And traumatic brain injury. He was one of the first to start to look at it outside of PTSD. Because 11 of the 13 symptoms overlap, and that's why we often miss the TBIs and we go right to PTSD.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
Why do you think the average civilian is completely unaware of this? Or aware, I hate to say this, I don't want to assume the worst, but let's presume willfully ignorant. Thank you.
Well, it's very simple. I think if you look at Canada, let's just talk about North America. If you look at North America right now, because I served with Americans and 80% of my listeners and my base are in America. When you look at America, you look at Canada, especially from the VA system. Yes, we have a VA, and yes, there are amazing caseworkers that work their absolute ass off that just are collapsing, trying to get people help. But then you have a system that ties their hands and their feet. So what ends up happening is two things. Gas is really expensive. Food is really expensive. Mortgages are really expensive. Now the threat of war is here. Now the threat of this. Now climate change. Now this. Now that. Every day it's something. People's brains aren't meant to be absorbing this kind of data. People were not meant to see somebody shot and killed like Charlie Kirk. People were not meant to see, we talked about this, people were not meant to see, people blowing up in Israel. People are not meant to see this. Soldiers are meant to see this. If we had video cameras or GoPros during Fallujah in Iraq, it would make, it would make Israel and Palestine look like a joke. People have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to war because we just didn't have film. If we had cameras, like real full-on, like GoPro level cameras, iPhone cameras in Vietnam, do you really think Vietnam would have lasted that long? There would have been, yes, there was protests, but it would have been something very different. Same with Afghanistan, same with Iraq, same with now you guys are seeing footage of drones dropping bombs on people in Ukraine, and you're like, everyone's become desensitized to it. So what happens is you're either so overwhelmed you shut down, and all you can think about is, you know what, if I just keep my head down and I focus on my family, that's okay. Then life is good. So I think willful ignorance comes from survival. I think our lifestyle in North America is so toxic right now. People can't fathom paying attention to anything else other than within their four walls. It would break them psychologically.